Will Reed ever stop breathing into the microphone?
No.
2, 1. What's going on, everybody? My name is Jack Kelly, host of Point to the Spot, a US-based podcast focused on that. We're just going to go ahead and redo that intro. What's going on, everybody? My name is Jack Kelly, host of Point to the Spot, a US-based podcast focused on the world of football. Joining me today, as always, is my entirely bonkers friend, Reed Hammond. Reed, how are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. How are you?
I am doing well. Those of you who cannot see Reed, as in all of you, he's got a lovely new haircut and is engaged. So let's have a round of applause for Reed's engagement. Woo! No, we're only kidding. Reed is not getting married. He is just a young man.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of life left in him.
Hold on, dude. After this haircut, I wouldn't put it past me.
And of course, that third voice that you heard is Ball for Prez 2020. We can't stand Donald Trump's America. Andrew Ball. Andrew, how are you?
I'm good. I did not get a haircut, although I guess our listeners can't really see that, but I'm good.
You still look lovely. Don't worry.
Oh, thanks, bud.
Well, boys, football was a little weird this weekend as a couple of the Premier League matches were disrupted because of Reed's beloved League Cup, but we'll get to that in part 2 of the show. So let's go ahead and just dive right on in to the Premier League weekend that was, and we'll start with the champions in the early match for those of you that were watching here in North America on Saturday. Chelsea 3, Swansea City 1. The Blues get it done at the Bridge again. Andrew, what do you make of this game? I mean, obviously, Chelsea just kind of cruising in for the rest of the season. And also, what do you make of Fabianski's pitiful attempt at goalkeeping?
Yeah, he's not good, as I would think you would know, Jack.
I mean, he won the FA Cup for Arsenal and then went to Swans and just became shit when there was expectation.
Yeah, I think it was last year when Spurs played him, and he just had an absolute shocker of a game. Anyway, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about Chelsea and the fact that they once again picked apart a bottom-tier opponent. Good game for Fabregas. Actually, all the Spaniards had a good game. I watched the very brief part when Swans equalized, so I had hoped that Paul Clement's side could claw their way back into it, but Chelsea's class overmatched Swans. And, I mean, I still don't see anyone catching them in the title race. Don't see Spurs catching them, even though Spurs look pretty good, but
we can dream.
More of the same. Well, yeah, more of the same from Chelsea. I think that, they just got to keep grinding out results. We talked about this a little bit, but any win's a good win for Chelsea.
Pretty much. 3 points is 3 points. 3 points closer to the title. Reed, we'll move on to the next match, and I'll throw this one to you as you are well acquainted with the bottom half of the table. And, of course, the manager of Crystal Palace, Big Sam's men, got it done 1-0 over Middlesbrough. Not the best day for Victor Valdez, and kind of just a weird game all around. Of course, one fabulous strike gave Palace the upper hand. What do you think about this?
Just like Unai Emery gets paid the big bucks to win the European titles. Big Sam gets paid big bucks to win 1-0 against other relegation candidates. If you'd give me a good line before the match, I definitely would have taken it because I don't know, with that whole relegation area is very, very tumultuous because Leicester with the game in hand, they make up 18th right now. And that was a relegation 6-pointer for Palace, and they're level on points currently with Borough. So that's going to be really exciting come the end of the season.
Yeah, with that win, of course, Palace has moved on to 22 points, equaling Middlesbrough, and they find themselves one spot out of the drop zone for the first time in a long time. But we will move on to one Merseyside team, the one that played this weekend. Everton 2, Sunderland 0. Things got worse for bottom feeder Sunderland. David Moyes' men just look a little outclassed. Again, they really do look like a championship team if you want my opinion on it. Pitiful defending. Guy just walked in and buried that ball from about 13, 14 yards out. Pretty much even with the penalty spot, just drilled it top shelf. And then in the 80th minute, We saw Romelu Lukaku do what Lukaku does on such a regular basis. Too strong, too fast. Got a little lucky with the deflection when the goal went in, but I mean, that was a striker's goal. And for a guy that quick and that strong, I can't believe he's still at Everton. Hull City won, Burnley won. Andrew, we'll go back to you. Of course, you have picked the Tigers to stay up this year and to win the Premier League title next year. We'll give you about 19,000 to 1 odds on that one. The point puts Hull on 21, 1 point away from safety. Do you like them staying up? I mean, they have a couple of shaky fixtures coming up, if you will, but they got a chance at staying up.
Yeah, I mean, they've kind of held their own against some of the top tier teams, and they have some real chances to make up ground in the relegation battle with fixtures against Leicester and Swans coming up soon. And then their run in their last couple games, I believe they get Palace and Sunderland in the run in. So, I mean, if they have to get the results coming in, they'll have opportunities to do so. I think yesterday, actually, they looked the better side against Burnley. They kind of controlled possession for most of it. Wound up, Tom Huddlestone, Spur alum, had to bail them out with a penalty late. But, you know, Burnley is a good side. A point, I think, is a good result for them here. And they got to beat Swans, Leicester, those guys. I think that if they can do that, they'll be fine no matter what happens in some of the other games.
Yeah, match days 36 and 37 are going to be direly important to clubs that are trying to stay up. We'll move on. West Brom 2, Bournemouth 1. This was just kind of an odd game. A lot happened early, and then nothing happened to finish it out. A terrible, terrible penalty to give up from West Brom. It was like a linebacker tackle in the box. King with that, cheeky but class 3-step penalty, buries it into the far post. Then, of course, we saw the Dawson goal. Wicked deflection, but it looks cool on the highlight tape. And then McAuley, the other one of the other center backs, benefiting a little bit for some luck as Boric, the Bournemouth goalkeeper, showing why he plays for Bournemouth, coming out, making a mess of it, just clean swinging through the ball, and his punch bounces around, falls to the center back's feet, 4 feet from the goal line. Even he's not going to miss from there. Tony Poulos' team, being Tony Poulos' team, winning 2-1. And they are a sneaky good 8th place because they're sitting several points ahead of 9th place West Ham, 7 ahead of 9th place West Ham. I don't know. West Brom, the Baggies, they're like good. I'm not going to say they're great. I'm not going to say they're bad, but like they're a pretty decent side.
Tony Poulos has a style, and he has a team that plays that style very well and very effectively.
Yeah, and he really does implement it quickly, something that we haven't seen from other managers in this league. But we will move on to the final match of Saturday. Of course, Reed, Watford won, West Ham won. The Hornets and the Hammers going at it. A couple more Slaven Bilic moments in this game. Take it away, my friend. Do tell what happened.
Oh, no, really, really surprising. I think you can say, does 90 minutes not reflect a match? And I think a draw is very fair here. Watford came out flying, and they took advantage of us playing a center mid at right back. Well, we had a right back on the bench. Czech gave away the penalty. You cannot blame the man for a second. He's grafting at right back right now, but I think a draw away was a very fair result, and I think Watford will probably feel a bit hard done by it.
And let me ask you a couple of other questions. Mikel Antonio, picked up a stupid-tempered first yellow card. What do you make of the second one, that intentional handball? Yes, he reached for it. Did you think he was fouled, and it was kind of the reaction to grab the ball because he thought he had been fouled?
I think he messed up, and he was trying to counter that by asking for the foul by drawing the ball. Like, he wasn't just being dumb and swatting at the ball. Like, it was tactical. He was trying to get the call going his way, because you often see after a foul people just grab the ball. Long term, I think this is going to be really good for the club, because I think Bilic is a very strong over-reliance on just playing Antonio where he doesn't have someone to fit in, and to force him to make a hard tactical choice. which he will have to do again in the next match against Chelsea. I think it could do bits. I think it could be really good for the team as.
Oh no. Oh no. Reed, please come back. Glad I'm not editing this episode. Was it him or was it us? I think it was him.
Yeah, that's got to be him.
We lost you.
Baby, come back.
You can blame it all on me. We're doing so well too. We're gonna get through the whole games. Come back, babe. Just pick it up from that match. Okay, I'm just gonna no, cancel.
Hey, continue broadcast. There we go. Have Reed leave it and then come back.
That's so sad. Everything was going so well.
It was very efficient.
We were getting through everything, and then we had just enough time to get
Spurs.
Spurs on.
I bumbled my way through that Chelsea one. Probably edited that down.
It doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't. There he is.
We've got Dino. Him and Dino. I just don't think you understand. He's Andrew Balls, man. Better than Zidane. We've got him and Dino. He's back.
Yeah, my internet.
Damn it, we were broadcasting for that whole thing.
Oh boy. Editing room Reed.
So we'll just pick it back up from.
Talking about Antonio.
Yeah, I'll just pick it back up from.
Yeah, I'll edit it.
Or you can just go again for the whole match if you want.
Yeah, I will.
Reham joining the call again.
Mm-hmm.
No, he didn't. Do you want to start it from the match as a whole?
Yeah, just lead me in.
Okay. You're gonna have to do something with the editing on this one.
Oh, I will. It'll be good.
Okay, we're going back on 3. And let us move on to the final match of Saturday. Watford won, West Ham won. The Hornets versus the Hammers. Reed, go ahead. Give me your reactions about this match.
Oh, no, I really think 1-1, especially away in a match like that's a really fair result. Not very often does 90 minutes not reflect the match, and I think this is definitely a fair result. And Watford could even feel a bit hard done. They had some sitters, especially at the end. Isaac Success missed a chance that missed, and it was to get at that ball to go in. He just swung at it and missed. It looked like at one point he was trying to fall into it, but
You could say he did not have success in school.
yeah, you could.
I'll see myself out.
Yeah. No, you got to keep. No. The commentators even said you got to keep that one in the back pocket, man, because that's a freaking killer line.
I'm
Yeah,
full of
and-
killer lines.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. No, and even Antonio getting sent off for the 2 yellow cards. One being just kind of out of frustration, and perhaps the other one being a handball out of trying to get a foul called on him after he kind of just slipped, lost his footing. Which could actually be good in the long term for the Billick selection, because especially going away to Chelsea next Monday. I think it's away to Chelsea next Monday. It's going to force him to make some hard tactical decisions, and I feel like he has a very strong over-reliance on Antonio to just fit in wherever he needs someone to go instead of putting some real thought into it and figuring out the direction he wants to go and forcing players to fit. So I think we'll probably see an actual right back play, and I think we'll see an actual striker play, and I think we'll see Mark Noble probably dropped.
Yeah, Mikel Antonio had a bad, if you will, in his 300th
He did.
first team appearance. All competitions,
Yes.
multiple clubs, not just with West Ham. But let's move on to the final match of the Premier League weekend. Tottenham Hotspur hosted Stoke City. Tottenham Hotspur had a nice. Stoke City had a bad. Harry Kane hat-trick in the first half, and Dele Alli kind of killing the game off with one of the first kicks of the ball in the beginning of the second half. Andrew, floor is yours.
Okay, well, in case you could forgive some observers for thinking that Spurs don't know how to play soccer after the past couple weeks, but really good result here. They proved why they are sitting second although City does have a game in hand. But they proved why they're in the top 3 in the Premier League. Really good game. Our listeners do not need to be told that Harry Kane is very good at soccer. But in case you were wondering, pure class with both feet today. Really enjoyed the game from all these guys. Really enjoyed the back 3 making an appearance, although they had to toy with it a little bit after some substitutions late. But I think once this team gets back to full fitness, they'll keep using that back 3. Really adept game, I think, from guys, especially like Jan Vertonghen, really on the attacking end. Hope to see more of that next week when we take on Everton and in what is kind of a big match for us. So long story short, good win for Spurs. Hopefully they can forget about Ghent, forget about the Europa League, and convey this momentum into something positive going forward.
They still have a chance at the FA Cup. I'm calling it right now. We're gonna have an outstanding NLD final.
I think that'd
Wembley.
be fun.
It'd be fun. Might break up some friendships, but it'd be fun.
It would, yeah. It'd be some fisticuffs in that one. Although with Spurs' record at Wembley, not sure if they make it to the finals.
Very true. Well, let us take a moment, and when we return, we will talk about another match that took place at Wembley. Of course, the EFL Cup, the artist formerly known as the League Cup final, took place today between Manchester United and Southampton, and we will be right back with our thoughts on that match. So enjoy the music. Read. This game was fucking ugly.
Oh yeah, it was.
Fuck United.
Are you eating your headphones? Oh, I thought he had the earbud in there.
I was like, bro, don't do that. Well,
so we can kind of just talk about this one for a few minutes if you want to.
Okay.
Like good 10 minutes on it, 8 minutes on it.
I'm gonna pose a question at some point to you guys if you think that this is how much this improves United's season, because they're probably not going to get Champions League.
I mean, not at all. I
Do
don't
you think a trophy will be enough to placate the?
No, this is a tournament. We'll talk about that.
Yeah, I was gonna say just
All right.
save that for the show.
We're coming back in 5, 4, 3. Welcome back to part 2 of the show, guys. As previously mentioned, EFL Cup final, Manchester United 3, Southampton 2. Game taking place at Wembley. Pretty good crowd, good atmosphere, and actually turned out to be a fun match. Manchester United getting ahead early on the back of a Zlatan and Ibrahimovic goal. Jesse Lingard doubling the advantage, if you will, in the 38th minute to make it 2-0. But then a certain man named Gabbiadini tried to rain on the Manchester United parade, getting a goal in the 46th minute and then getting another goal in the 48th minute to complete his hat trick because he wrongfully had his first goal disallowed for an offsides call that was BS, further showing the incompetency of the referees and the FA and how much everybody loves a certain club in England and really wanted this to be one thing or the other. Of course, Zlatan Ibrahimovic doing Zlatan Ibrahimovic things. Rose and the big man beat a different big man with, a header. Nobody on earth is going to save that. Good finish. Pissed. I hate United. They are now the winningest club in England with 41 major trophy titles. That's a lot. That's a lot.
It's not bad.
Let's all take a moment and give a round of applause to Manchester United. I hate them, but you got to give respect where respect is due. Of course, they are tied with bitter rivals, Liverpool. For that, Mark, you know who's in third?
Let's not talk about it.
Do you know who's in third? It's Arsenal on 29. And then Aston Villa is also in that top 5 list with 20.
But they're in the championship.
Let's
So,
let's all have a moment of silence for Aston Villa as a club.
okay, that was fun.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll make it.
Let's move on. Reed, he's your man. You love Gabbiadini. What do you make of this guy? I mean, he's barely been around for the club. They're like, hey, you want to play in this cup final? And he was like, sure. And then he was like, wait, I like to win things, and turned the F up. What do you make of the Italian coming over from Italy with an instant impact?
It's almost like I know what I'm talking about. And 3 weeks ago when they played West Ham, and I was like, oh, no, he's got something about him. He's going to start finishing off Southampton's chances. And then he started finishing off Southampton's chances, and he had a bit about him. Like, holy crap, who would have guessed besides me? No, he came over here from Napoli with a lot to prove, and Southampton needed someone to finish off the balls and someone who didn't always have injuries. Looking to you, Charlie. No, he's playing really well. Unlucky, very unlucky for him.
Yeah, I think that they were a little bit hard done. Andrew, you watched this match.
It was a fun one.
Yeah, I mean, it was good. It was good
Good
from a
entertainment.
neutral perspective. It was good entertainment. Does it jerk you a little bit that Manchester United won on the back of some horrendous officiating?
Well, the officiating, you could argue also that should have been a red card issued to Stevens in the 40th minute for a two-legged tackle. So Southampton definitely hard done on having that goal disallowed, but maybe got a little bit of a benefit there. Manchester United just did not deserve to win this game. Atrocious defending. I was talking with Jack before the show. I think that there's one great player on the pitch today for Manchester United. Ibrahimovic took his chances when he had to and had a cracking free kick. And Herrera, who was good in the passing end, good work rate.
He's kind of the unsung hero of Manchester United's side this
He
year.
is, and they're ready to ship him out.
It's funny because he's paired with Pogba so often, and there's the hype train around Paul Pogba. But Andrew Herrera has been twice the player he has all season.
Well, you saw that today, and I mean, besides those two guys, the other 9 guys on the pitch were complete shit. I mean, that includes De Gea, who really was not anything special. I think he was called on to make one pretty good save, but besides that,
His post saved him a couple times as well.
well, that one Oriol Romeo header that went off the post, definitely he was being. And Southampton really were they were going forward, and there were some gaping holes in that Manchester United defense. Jesse Lingard with a good goal, but bad defending, and Paul Pogba asleep at the wheel. There was a good trolling moment at the end when Pogba said that's why we bought Zlatan. Zlatan responds by saying, "They bought you. I was free."
It's,
Better use of money at this point.
they got a good deal on one of those players. Of course, I know you have a question about this match, and we'll turn it over to Reed to answer that.
Well, I do, and I going forward, do you think that this is going to be able to save Manchester United's season? I mean, Jose Mourinho brought in not necessarily to win the League Cup, but do you think that United will be able to hang their hats on the silverware? And also, as a corollary to that question, where does Southampton go from here? Can they build on this success?
Okay. So, no, obviously a League Cup, and I'm going to give them a 5th place finish, is not enough. But I think people will act like it is. And I think they have a very good shout at winning the Europa League. So I'm thinking an EFL Cup, 5th place, and then a Europa League trophy putting them in the Champions League is likely how their season's going to end up. And I think people will say that's enough. I think it isn't objectively, but I think United fans will
Well, you're
think it.
you're predicting them to win the Europa League.
Oh, yeah.
You think
Jose
they can
Mourinho-
beat Roma?
Oh, yeah. I think
I
they'll-
got Lyon going for it in that
I
competition.
have Roma winning it.
Roma's good.
Bold.
Shout out to
Bold.
Scott Pembenek. Reed,
Yeah.
United will sacrifice what they need to in the league to win the Europa League because
Kind of like Liverpool last year.
yeah, very similar except they won't bottle it.
bottle is the best word for that.
Yeah, I think objectively it's not, and I think to have that much money on the pitch and that much experience on the pitch, and finish 5th place with Chelsea walking the league is poor, and I think it's a little bit of a stain on it's kind of continuing Jose Mourinho's perhaps not reaching of expectations in the last couple seasons, but we'll see. Let's see what he's building. You can't quite say because Tony Pulis, everyone was giving him a ton of flack, but he was giving a transition to West Brom, and now they're playing his football with the players he wants there, and they're playing well. And if you look at the table, I think that table is very telling. I don't think anyone's in a false position. I think everyone deserves where they deserves where they. I don't think anyone is overrepresented, and as far as Southampton goes, I don't know. It's going to be a lot to tell. It's going to a lot. What that will be how they handle their summer business. If they keep the players they need to, And if they bring in the additions they need to finish up these chances and maybe tighten up the back a bit, they could come back to where they were, but it's definitely going to be a couple more years of rebuilding.
Yeah, I think Manchester United, and one thing that you can't forget, they do have a big tie against Chelsea in the FA Cup. So they do have potential to succeed there as well. My thing, though, is the hypocrisy that surrounds Manchester United culture is unreal to me. 2 seasons ago, when Liverpool does well in the League Cup, they call it the Junior Varsity Cup, the Junior Cup, the Shame Cup, all those things. And now here they are celebrating, dabbing on the pitch with their $89 million midfielder who did nothing today, talking about how great of a club they are and how they're the best team in England. The hypocrisy is unreal. Same thing with the Europa League. They're all like, oh, we're going to down clubs in the Europa League. We killed Saint Etienne. Great. Because round of applause for beating Saint Etienne. It doesn't matter. My thing with Manchester United fans and the culture around that club is just defined with the word hypocrisy, and it drives me nuts. For Southampton, I think they're going to go to where they always belong. Obviously, high-flying last season, but they're back in their normal mid-table obscurity realm. I don't know. I don't think that this should be defined as a good season for Manchester United. Of course, it's fun to put something into a trophy case. It always is. But I don't know. I mean, I guess if they do this, they go on to win the FA Cup and they win the Europa League. Sure, you can't say that it's that bad of a season, but they haven't necessarily had it rough so far in the FA Cup. Of course, their most difficult fixture by far is going to be in the next round against Chelsea.
And I mean, like, there's a lot that they have to do to win the Europa League. And a lot they have to do to win the FA Cup.
It's a long ways to go.
I think there's a 90% chance that they don't win either of those.
Yeah, I agree.
And I don't know. I don't see him getting past Chelsea. I don't see him getting past one of the better sides in the Europa League. And I think it would be funny as hell if they just fell in their face like Spurs did against a team like Ghent.
It would be fun. Like I said, I've got Lyon to move on and win that. I think a Lyon-Roma final would be fun. Reed, you want to get back in on something here?
Oh yeah, no, I really I would take that line, Andrew. If you're offering me a 9-1 on United winning FA Cup or Europa League, we can get some not to condone underage gambling or gambling in the United States all after this, and we'll work out a line for that. I think you're discounting Jose Mourinho and how much he needs to win trophies so he can sleep at night.
Yeah, he is a bit egotistical, but again, goes well with that era of hypocrisy.
Like, you're assuming that by putting out his first choice starting 11 that they're going to win. I'm not sure the way they've been playing that's a given.
Yeah,
despite what happened today.
I think especially a fun word for you is plucky. I think there's lots of plucky sides that are in the Europa League who are, you put them into the Premier League, they're decent teams. Like, they are going to be in the top half of the table, and I think Manchester United so often stumbles against a side like that.
It's true.
But we digress. Stick around for part 3 of the show, everybody. We have another rendition of Ball is Life, where we look at the politics of global football. And that, of course, my segment is back for the show yet again. So stick around, and we will be right back. But West Ham doesn't have a right back.
We haven't in like 3 seasons ever since Janko got hurt, man.
Can't figure out why this is making this vibrating noise. You hear that?
No, I don't.
I heard a little bit.
Weird. Reed, how you doing? Beautiful.
I'm fine.
Same, but I just know he's beautiful. Look at that beautiful man. I got sunglasses in my backpack for some reason. I hate Manchester United. I hate Manchester United fans. I think I hate United more than I hate Spurs.
I hate Chelsea more than I hate Arsenal. So,
just like,
I hate Chelsea fans.
Like, not to discredit Tottenham, obviously they're good now, but like when I started to follow football, like,
it wasn't that competitive.
It wasn't that competitive.
No,
between
it
Arsenal
wasn't.
and Spurs.
Yeah,
so like,
that's very true.
Like the big games are always playing United playing Chelsea.
Also, like, I respect. Oh, that was you putting it back on. Okay. I mean, I think that, like, I hate the plastic clubs. And Arsenal, you could say a lot of things about them, but they win the right way, I think.
Yeah, I mean, use the money. Well, they use the money when necessary, but also very much have lots of youth products. Don't love to just loan them all out because for some reason they always have this priority of winning U23 competitions.
Send them to Vitesse.
Anyways,
I'm good to go.
we're back at 5. Is it this? No, it's
There's something. It's okay. We'll back in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the show. This is Andrew Ball with this week's installment of Ball is Life. And each week, we will be taking a look at the politics of global soccer. Today, we travel to France, where in less than 2 months, the first round of an election to determine a new president will be held, as current leader François Hollande has declined to seek another term. And there are 3 major candidates vying to replace Hollande. The Socialist Party candidate François Fillon, Emmanuel Macron of the En Marche party, and Marine Le Pen of the Front National. And Le Pen's party is a right-wing nationalist group which opposes membership in the European Union and immigration. So this whole segment will not be about the French election.
it's like the French Donald Trump.
Jack kicking in on my segment. Yes, she is like the French Donald Trump. But her party will play a big role in today's story. So we begin our tale shortly before the 2016 European Championships, which of course were held in France. Manager Didier Deschamps has opted to leave his celebrated yet controversial striker Karim Benzema off the team. Benzema, presumably disappointed at being unable to help bring a European championship to his country on its home soil, sounds off to Spanish magazine Marca on the decision. And in the interview, he suggests that Deschamps had, quote, bowed to the racist party of France, saying that, quote, an extremist party, which is presumably in reference to Le Pen's Front National, did not want to see someone who is part Algerian representing France. And these remarks touched off to firestorm. Le Pen called the comments, quote, scandalous, and said Benzema was, quote, hiding his wickedness behind a violent charge against the French people. She sounds like she'd be fun at dinner parties, don't you think?
Absolutely.
French legend Eric Cantona, who played with Deschamps on the 1998 World Cup winning side, also criticized his former teammate. He said that the reasons both Benzema and Hatem Ben Afra were left off the team was because of their North African heritage, saying, quote, Deschamps, he has a really French name. Maybe he is the only one in France to have a truly French name. So this gets at a long-standing issue for the French, this hypocrisy over the support of national teams, which are increasingly becoming black and brown and less white, in reference to the famed 1998 side, which was the black, bleu, and blanc side. In the eyes of many French citizens, becoming a footballer and representing your country internationally represents successful assimilation into French society. But criticizing that society, such as the implication that a successful native Frenchman is racist, upsets that balance. And it's not the first time that we've seen similar scenes either. In 1998, Marine Le Pen's father, Jean-Marie, who was then leading the Front National, remarked that the side that won the World Cup was, quote, not French enough. We saw this play out further in the 2010 World Cup, which was in South Africa, and where controversy erupted after Nicolas Anelka was sent home for an alleged slur directed at his manager. He and his teammates maintained that he was quoted out of context, and instead of training, the players boycotted, promptly laying an egg in their final match against the host South African side. And their actions, combined presumably with their lackluster performance in the tournament, brought backlash back home. Politicians compared the players to hooligans rioting in the banlieue, referring to the suburbs of French cities where many poor or immigrant families are concentrated. In 2011, controversy erupted after a report claimed that the French Football Federation had instituted quotas for dual national players, mandating that only 30% of players in certain youth system teams could be dual citizens. So how does this all tie together? Le Pen is leading in the most recent round of polls ahead of the first runoff election, April 23rd. And the top 2 candidates from there, because France has an absolutely pants-on-fire system of electoral system, the top 2 candidates from that election will then face off on May 7th. And despite her lead, Marine Le Pen's chances of winning remain uncertain. She will face a more conventional candidate, potentially Macron, in the final round, and that opposition candidate can kind of coalesce the more mainstream population. So it's unclear that she has enough support to win, but her popularity really does say a lot in a country where even in the past couple of weeks, we've seen some very high profile racist attacks on players in the pitch. And this weird tension in French society plays out of the ballot box, also plays out on the football pitch. And if you have any thoughts on Les Bleus and its diversity, or if you have inside analysis of the French election, or if you want to hear me parle plus de français sur le podcast, please tweet us at Point to the Spot with the numeral 2 on Twitter. For now, I'll throw it back to you two to hear your thoughts on these developments.
I think that French football is weird in the sense that, I don't know if weird is the right way. French football has always been like that, where they've had big dependency on players who aren't
French
in the traditional sense. I mean, look at their most recent year. Look at the Euros this past summer. Their star of that tournament, arguably, was a man from Réunion, a man that Reed used to be well acquainted with, but is now not so happy with.
The French national team, unlike West Ham, still has Payet.
Well, given how he's playing for Marseille, I don't know about that. That's a bit of a bold statement. Yeah, but even especially on this Algeria, a lot of the French national team is coming out of Algeria. Like one of the arguably the best French players ever, Zizou, the pride of France, probably gonna go down as the best French manager in the last 50 years, between the last 25 and the next 25 years. Zizou, he'll probably go down as one of the best French managers, being Algerian.
And it's interesting you bring up Zidane, Reed, and I was hoping someone would because I didn't work this in the segment, but he's kind of interesting in that he's not particularly political or outspoken on issues of race or ethnicity. He mainly kind of keeps to himself, and he was kind of the first big footballer in France that was not quote unquote French in the sense that most French people 50 years ago thought of being French. And it kind of set this weird precedent where people now, I'm not French, but like, I think that what's kind of going on is that people were taught that like, that's what all these guys would be like, kind of not particularly interested in speaking out on these issues. And then when guys do that, like Benzema or like some of his compatriots, it's kind of a shock. And there's this tension where, you know, these guys are kind of good immigrants, but then when they speak out, they're not. So it's a complicated issue. We face it in the U.S. also, I believe, but France, given its colonial prowess, it's, you know, in Algeria, in West Africa, Indian Ocean and Pacific, it's kind of a unique issue for them.
I think that it's like a fundamentally different thing for people that are French. Like you think about the United States and like we're like, you can make the argument, yes, with Cuba and other countries in the Caribbean, but like the United States was never engaged in colonialism in the sense that France and England and Germany, those other countries around the world were. And
that's
maybe perhaps 1/3 of the podcast will say that.
Yeah, the views represented by actual Jack Kelly do not reflect the views of at Point to the Spot with the numeral 2.
Yeah, I mean, obviously,
retweets do not equal endorsements in this segment.
But the point I'm trying to make is that
it's not the same.
The diversity in the United States culture has always been that way because the United States is literally made up by a diverse group of cultures.
Well, we never fought a civil war against one of our colonies like France did in Algeria.
Yeah, and so the point I'm trying to make is that the outspokenness of athletes, especially athletes that are like athletes of color, has been something that's big and prominent and is very empowering, and I think is important in society because they have such a role that I think that's common and that's just a given and that's an expectation that we have as Americans because that is like a cultural thing that we see. Obviously, there's lots of people that don't feel that way. We are a nice progressive podcast. But I think that's something that is just fundamentally different in France. You know what I mean? Like, like nobody in America is just American like you are French. Like everybody is, I'm Irish American, German American, etc. I think it's like a fundamentally different thing that attributes into a conversation like this.
Yeah, I think this is actually probably one of the most major recent instances of what we see a lot in the U.S. of people saying, shut up and play basketball, shut up and sing, shut up and, you know, entertain me. And I think this is something you're seeing a little bit. There's a little bit of overlap in that sentiment of you're an entertainer, don't talk to me about politics. Whereas they are not entertainers; they are people.
Yeah. So I think it's interesting. Well, let us move on to the final portion of today's show. Something on a more, I don't know if cheerful is the right word, but something on a little bit of a different note. We will bring it back domestically. The best thing that I have seen today. Who remembers Tally Hall? He was a longtime MLS goalkeeper, played 10 seasons, 161 games in the league. Kind of suddenly announced his retirement in the middle of the season last year in July. And just this past week, turns out that Tally Hall is a Orlando Police Department recruit. And just last week, he received the Director's Award, which is just kind of like an outstanding award. And then also the Community Service Award during his recruitment. So let's have a nice round of applause. Lots of applause today. Let's have a round of applause for Tally Hall. Just kind of cool. You know, it's tough. Obviously, we talk about how American players often have to find something else in their life. And I think this is a prime example of a guy who lost his passion but found something else. And hats off to Tally Hall for not hanging it all on football.
That's cool. I very vividly remember him playing for the Dynamo. And
yeah, he could ball.
yeah, he was a good goalie.
He was a baller. Well, we digress. That is all the time that we have for today's show, everybody. Thank you very much for listening. Of course, we are all available on the social, if you will, if you're English. Reed, where can they find you on Twitter?
At That One Could Read.
And Andrew?
Tu peux me trouver at Andrew Ball, B-A-H-L.
That's for our French listeners. Of course, you can find
0 of you.
You can find me at actual Jack Kelly. I am actually Jack Kelly, one of 30 million. And of course, make sure that you are following the show at Point to the Spot with the number 2. And that's all we have for today. Stick around for the midweek pod. May be having a special guest joining us. So you can have that to look forward to. Some more Champions League in the midweek. For now, have a great weekend. A great rest of the weekend and a great start to the week. Bye-bye.
Is there actually Champions League week?
Yeah, there's a place.
And Chelsea, Leicester play Monday. Or I mean
Liverpool.
Liverpool. Yeah.
I think
Oh, yeah,
there's
you're right.
Champions League.
Yeah, you're right. Don't know why I thought.
Games
Stop the broadcast. Stop the broadcast.